Okay, we have a range high and low, and we've got a big move down going on. So I want to grab this and see where we fall. Right now we're holding at the right at the low barrier. So obviously we've got to break through that before we want to be involved in a short, or if we've got a good enough opportunity to really cover the risk to reward. Okay, this is coming right back into it. I don't have a trade on because we're stopping at a low. So it doesn't make sense for me right now. But we'll see if that develops into something worth looking at. Okay, well, that just traded right up to the volume weighted average price, and I'm glad I didn't take the trade. This is a good lesson. You know, when we hit a key transition like that and we line up right with it, those are the ones that you want to avoid, right? You can't just be cavalier with putting on a trade every time that you see a move down or a move up. So really think through it. It's a good example of something not working, and specifically not working because it hit a wall. So we'll start over and see if, I don't know, maybe this will start moving up. But really nothing we can do unless if the VWAP's taken out, we can start looking at an upswing, or if this low is taken out. And other than that, we're sort of stuck. Okay, we're starting to challenge the lows. This is never going to work for us, even though the VWAP hasn't been taken out. There's too much sideways action here. None of this is ever going to move. So we've got to find a new point of origin. So let's start with a high. And we've already crossed over the VWAP there too many times. With volume, let's try this one. That's a little bit better. So let's see if we can get a breakdown here. Okay, we're at the lows. Got to see volume print on the other side of this, so we need those clusters to start showing up below the 26. Okay, we're at the CWAP, but there's nothing we can do. We're trading off of a low here, so this is really lifting up. All right, so let's look at it from the other side. Let's go back to where we were. All right, so now the VWAP's taken out. Really, this is the edge of volume. Let's get a profile on that. We've got target area up here. And let's just start looking at it from the other side. I mean, we need to print volume up here above 33. And if we can do that, we're looking at a target up at 39, because this definitely isn't what we're looking for. So drag this one across and reset it, go the other direction. Okay, starting to penetrate this. All right, so ideally we want the buy to come in somewhere around the 32 area. This is a little bit low. I think we should go ahead and get our order out though.
Order pending.
I guess the other thing we need to do, my guess is that 2 to 1 we're going to be fine inside of this, but I'd like to give you guys habits to start following. So if we go long here and our stop is here, our 2 to 1 is inside. So just think about it that way. All right, well, nothing yet. Still holding here at 32 quarter. All right, 32.75 now. Still well within the risk parameter. Not concerned about it. Now 33, and again, still in the right place.
Order filled.
Okay, well, we get the fill there. Gonna move the stop back a tick. You can see our 2 to 1, that's gonna come in at 37.50. So still inside of where we need to be there. 3 to 1 is 39.75. So that's going to be outside of the high, and that may be something that we want to make an adjustment to. We may just want to go ahead and get the profit as opposed to being worried about a couple extra ticks. So, if that's what we're looking at, then coming into here makes more sense, and not worrying about the 3 to 1. We could also push the 2 to 1 out and skip it altogether. But let's keep our stop updated. That's important too. And then let's go ahead and get our 5 to 1 out there. So assuming we do break and make some new highs, we're looking at 44 quarter. Pretty good.
Target filled.
Okay, we get the 2 to 1. That comes in. This is a little less than 3 to 1, but we're trying to leverage the high here, which is, it's always good if you're looking at your the structure of the chart to say where your targets really should be. So we could easily put it on the other side, but we've got a target way up there at 44 quarters. So if we can pick that one up, it'll be fine if we take a little less on this one. And look, our stop's moving up quickly. Ideally, we want to get on the other side of this high. That'll allow us to use this area as a stop, because we're a long way from the volume weighted average price. So I'd hate to see this. We're at 38. I'd hate to have it come all the way back to 32. That would be rough.
Target filled.
Okay, well, we get our almost 3 to 1 target up at the high. Stop is just about at entry. It's a long way. The problem is that if the market starts coming back, it's going to come into this area here, 34, 35, right? And this is the last sort of chunk of volume, 34, 35, and then we've got the move higher. I don't know that we can do much to improve our stop without just throwing the trade away. And if you wanted to do that and just take profit, Nobody's ever going to give you a hard time for taking profit, right? Okay, the stop is moving up with the VWAP where I would move it to anyway, so I don't see a way to drastically improve it other than to just close the trade. What's interesting is that we're coming back to the CWAP. So in a prior lesson, I added to a position when we came back to the CWAP. So I'm going to give you a minute to think about it, and I want you to answer to yourself why right now would be a terrible idea to add to this position. What is the structure on the chart that says do not buy the CWAP right now? So if you're already in the trade, you're not going to add, and if you're not in a trade, you wouldn't take the trade. I want you to think about it for a minute. Lord knows we've got time on our hands. I'll take a little break from talking and I'll come back and explain. Okay, well there it is. We've just hit the CWAP. So why is this not a good trade now? Well, we've hit the range high. We're coming off of a key decision point, a key transition. So could you take it? Sure, but you would need to have a very small stop so that all you have to do is trade back up and hold somewhere inside of 38, somewhere below where the volume is at the top. So if we do a quick risk to reward on this and say get in here and stop is here, 2 to 1, boom, outside, right? So if your answer was I wouldn't take this trade as an add or as a first time trade because we've already hit the other side of the range, give yourself a pat on the back, you win. Okay, we've got a nice breakout going on now, and I was just telling you why you shouldn't have taken this trade, and that's sort of the way that lessons go, right? Even though this is turning into a nice trade from here, because of where it stopped, this would have been a very risky situation for you. So our target's got to be right up above us. Yep, not very far, a couple of ticks away. Our stop right now is at 35 with the VWAP. What we need to be thinking about is how to get our stop pushed up somewhere up here, right? I don't like the way all this volume falls, but we're going to give it a try. We're going to see if we can find something in here. Okay. That's reasonable. So if this comes back down, it should hold 38 to about 37. You can see where the edge of volume is. So I can either continue to use the VWAP or I can just go ahead and jump it up to 36.50, and that will keep me from getting completely slammed if the market comes back down. I really can't go any higher than that because there's not a clear, and even here, 38. That's about as far as I can go. There's just not better logic on the chart. Oh, now I've got a question for you. The last time I said this was a terrible trade if we come back to the CWAP, and of course it worked out. What about now? If you were not in a trade, could you take the CWAP right now? And the answer is yes. Why? Because you have the entry falling. Look at that. You have the entry falling perfect into the last transition, and the stop is behind it. So if you were not in the trade from here, or you wanted to add to your position, breaking out of the range and coming back to the transition, beautiful entry. So this would have been acceptable. This would have been a very poor choice long term. Okay, we're coming back up to the high. What I want to do is go ahead and get a profile up there because one, it'll tell me what we have to trade through and where we might hold. So if we hold here, I should be concerned. And once we trade through that, this stop goes from here right up here. I'm already reading where my next stop move is going to be. So as soon as we print volume up here, my stop's coming up to 41. Okay, we can see the buyers buying in, the sellers trying to reject, the buyers coming back in. We're printing volume above. Let's get this stop up here. Boom.
Target filled.
And the target's filled, so doesn't make any difference. So 5 to 1, baby, another one. Here we go with reading the range, right? We were looking at, just think about this. This is why you don't try to predict things. I was trying to go short. The market wasn't allowing it. It wasn't going past the key level. So what do? Turn everything around, right? We tried to short here, didn't come together. We tried to short here, didn't come together. Well, the market wasn't having it. So it turns around, pick up the long after we break the key point in the range, trying to trade to the other side of the range. We get that. Pull back down. Remember, this would be a lousy trade. Even though it worked out, this is not what you're looking for. But then after the expansion outside of the range and we come back to the decision point, boom. Another great opportunity to take the trade. I don't know that you would have gotten filled here, but it gives us the 5 to 1.